Hey everybody! Sorry we're starting here a little bit late, but it is time now for the weekly news recap of the 5th to the 11th of December 2022. This is going to be the Game Awards edition since that happened this week, so it's going to be a lot of fucking trailers to watch. Alright, anyway, let's jump in. So, I have a playlist here of all of the games announced or got updates and stuff like that. At least all the ones I personally care about. There's going to be more, but I don't know, and I'm sure I've missed a few. Anyway, I'm going to start with Dead Cells. It's where it opened the show, or opened the pre-show as it were, and it is getting a surprise crossover with Castlevania, which was pretty nuts, because all the way going through this from the start and the opening and the kind of reveal of the castle in the background, I was like, Castlevania? Castlevania? And like everything up to that point is this Castlevania? And then the big reveal here at the end, of course, is the two lads down the back, Alucard and Simon of Castlevania fame. So that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a DLC thing, probably Dead Cells' last DLC, I would think. Unless they're just going to keep going, because it's been going for quite a while now, and I guess I'm going to have to get good at Dead Cells, unfortunately, if I want to play the Castlevania DLC. There's no gameplay in this trailer, it's all animated, but yes, the Dead Cells guy, I'm sure he has a name, but he's just the Dead Cells guy, teams up with the lads and they go to take on Dracula and so on. It's pretty cool. That was a pretty cool trailer. How do I go to the next video in the playlist without leaving full screen? There it is. Okay. After that, Hellboy Web of Weird. So this is a Hellboy. It's apparently words. It's supposed to be a roguelite version game of Hellboy. As you can see, it is art direction wise. They are taking the comic books, like pretty heavy words. Influence, not even influence, just copy entirely. Good, because I think that's what most people who are fans of Hellboy are like, yeah, the comics, that's why I like Hellboy, not the films or anything like that. What's fun here is that this seems like it's an animated like cutscene and whatever, and I'm sure it is a cutscene in-game, but it segues pretty good, or pretty well, into just gameplay. I'm just gonna leave the trailer to go, because and now you're playing the game. Like, that's nuts. Like, this is really good art direction, you know? Like, it's seamless. How the game will play, I don't know. This seems like, are they always one-on-one fights? Or are there more multiple fights and stuff like that? Debatable. I guess we'll see. Entirely possible they could be, you know, faking that and you weren't playing the game. They just made it look like you were playing the game. Entirely possible, now that I think about it. I think I was just very tired and I was thinking, is this gameplay? Anyway. Moving on. Post-Trauma. So this game had been shown off about a year ago. In very small circles, people who were like really into their survival horror kind of knew about this game a good while ago. But it's got a proper trailer now at the Game Awards. This game is called Post-Trauma. It is very much a Silent Hill survival horror type game, fixed camera angles, very spooky eldritch shenanigans happening in the background. Not sure if you have multiple like separate worlds and stuff like you do in Silent Hill, but as you can see, it's definitely traveling deep into the weird end of horror rather than the spooky monsters chasing you kind of thing. It looks pretty good, you know. It looks pretty good. I don't think there's a release date on the trailer. I think it was just, here's like our official... Yeah, there's no release date. This was more like a letting it be known to the rest of the game world that the game existed. Okay, I guess playlist doesn't loop unless you tell it to. Viewfinder, as you can see, is a puzzly type game, I think going to be exclusive to PlayStation at least for a while. You're taking these pictures and then you overlay them in the environment to create paths or puzzle elements and stuff like that. Another kind of mind-bendy kind of puzzle thing. It's a bit like, reminds me a little bit of Superliminal, with that kind of forced perspective puzzle kind of thing. Our Maquette had something similar. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it whenever it shows up. Again, I don't think this has a release date. No release date. After that, Atomic Heart, which we've seen quite a bit of now at this point. This was just another trailer to sort of remind you it's coming out soon. I'm pretty sure it's out like next month. If you don't remember, Atomic Heart, it seemed like it was going to be Soviet Fallout at the beginning, but now it feels more like it's Soviet Doom. At least they're focusing very heavily on the combat side of things rather than any exploratory kind of thing. It did feel a bit Bioshocky the first time it was shown off, but it seems more likely now that it is closer to something like Doom, Wolfenstein, Dying Light, maybe, all that kind of stuff. Much more of an emphasis on the combat side of things rather than the exploration kind of thing. Scars Above looks like budget Returnal, more or less. It's like they took the idea you're stranded on this planet and it's things trying to kill you, and there may or may not be a time loop thing happening. It feels very Returnal-y to me. Combat is fairly close range, over the shoulder shooting. Sure, it gets to it in the trailer. As you can see, it's fairly close range, so it's not going to be as bullet hell or as hectic as something like Returnal. I don't think it'll be as difficult as something like Returnal, which would suggest it's probably not a roguelike thing. That tends to be the calling card of most roguelike games, is they're really hard, so that you'll die a lot. Also, she was really mean to that Yeti guy. Like, what? Look at this. Like, I'm gonna send you the wrong way. Where is he? I'll send you the wrong way, Yeti guy, and I'm gonna shoot you in the back. Mean. So mean to the Yeti guy. Anyway, Scars Above also has a demo out on Steam, which I'm looking into February 28th. You can see there, it'll be out pretty soon, end of February of next year. There is a demo on Steam, as I said, that I am looking into playing on the channel. I just need to make sure the Steam Deck can handle it. And if it can, we'll play it on the channel. If it can't, we won't. Obviously, that's how that works. After Us looks like one of these meditative chill games. Kind of like... Probably a bit like Flower, a bit like Journey, that kind of thing. That's what it feels like. Post-apocalyptic, you're bringing nature back to the world in ruins sort of thing. I like these kind of games, you know? They don't require a whole lot of brain power. They look really nice. You feel good after you play them. You know, there's plenty of room in the game library for stuff like that, I feel. Anyway. Does that have a release date? I think it's March. I'm just gonna skip it. Oh yeah, there's a ghost wiener dog. Hang on. So this part's pretty grim. Skeleton dog, you know, not great. But hey, he's back. Ghost wiener dog. Appreciate it. Who cares about Ghost Eagle? Go back to the dog. Does it have a release date? Doesn't look like it. Spring. March isn't spring, right? Close enough. Anyway. Replaced, latest trailer for this one. I wasn't as blown away by this trailer as I was by the very first trailer. I just think the first one was really well edited, and the music they put to it was really, really good. And the music in this trailer is pretty good as well. But anyway, Replaced is a pixel art... It's like a 3D game pixel art filter kind of thing. That a lot of games use to just get the pixel effect without having to actually do the pixel art. Anyway, it looks gorgeous. You know, it still looks really, really good. I guess there's just not as much of an emphasis on combat in this game as there was in this trailer as there was in the very first trailer. But it's more showing off the world, showing off some of the people that you might encounter. It's definitely got like a cyberpunk Johnny Mnemonic kind of vibe going for it. And then there's a bit of combat at the end. What I liked about the combat in the first trailer, at least, and you do see a little bit of it in this trailer, is the camera usage. It's like when you hit, the camera sort of moves a little bit, and if you move off to the side, it kind of shifts backwards and stuff like that. I hope it makes it into the game. You can see this kind of tilting that the camera does. Like, I hope that actually makes it into the game, because it feels really good just to look at. I'm hoping it feels good to play too. Hades 2 was a huge surprise Game Awards, mostly because Supergiant Games, the developer, doesn't make sequels, typically. They made Bastion, really well received, no sequel. Transistor, really well received, no sequel. Pyre, kind of well received, no sequel. And Hades really put them on the map for a lot of people, and they were like, okay, fine, we'll make a sequel to this one, I guess. Hades 2, this is mostly a cutscene trailer showing the new protagonist and their mentor, maybe? Not sure? We're not sure who this other person is. I'm thinking it's Nyx, but we don't really know. You can also see that this main character's name, I don't remember. It's not mentioned in the trailer. It's something you're going to have to look up. But they do have some kind of connection to Hades. Daughter, maybe. She does have the red eye and the green eye, which is the same as Zagreus from the first game, who's Hades' son. So it's possible they have something similar. I believe it segues into gameplay here. Yeah, you can see it's very much Hades. Again, the game, not the person. And more character art to make you question your sexuality, much like the first game. And so on. I think there's some new gods. I don't think Apollo was in the first game. I don't remember. Been a while since I've played it. You can pet the big frog too. Also, no sign of Zagreus from the first game. Anyway, Hades 2, it will be launching into early access next year, much like the first Hades did, and then it will spend a bit of time in early access, and then it'll eventually launch 1.0. Judas. So, Judas is the brainchild of Ken Levine, the creator of BioShock, who was then allowed Irrational Games to be shut down. And like, there's a lot I can say about Ken Levine that I don't particularly like the guy, at least what I've heard from industry people and news about him and stuff like that, but whatever. The latest game, nothing really about gameplay here. You are ostensibly playing this blonde woman who may or may not have betrayed a bunch of people, hence the name Judas. But you can see from gameplay, it's BioShock again. You know, he's not breaking the mold here or anything. You've got plasmids or whatever they decide to call it this time around, and you've got a gun or weapon in your other hand. It's first person, you know. It's BioShock again, more or less. So no huge change here. It seems it does be, it's focusing a lot more on all of these other characters. Which the other BioShock games didn't really. You did get like, what's his name? The actor guy from the first game, the surgeon and stuff like that, but they weren't really like big characters, you know? You just sort of fight them, and that's kind of it. Whereas in this game, it seems like you will be interacting with them a lot more, and you might be having to pick sides and stuff like that. But no release date. PS5 for now. Whether that will end up going to Xbox or something like that, I guess we'll find out. I think Sony have, or they're on the hook for funding for Ghost Story, the developer. I think that's why it's a PS5 game. Anyway. Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. This is largely seen as an apology game for the ending of Bayonetta 3, which apparently is quite divisive. I haven't looked into it. I don't want to know until I play it myself. But apparently, a lot of fans weren't happy with it. This might be being seen as an apology game, but considering how far along development appears to be in the game, I don't think so. I think this was always planned. So this is a prequel to the original Bayonetta. You are playing child Bayonetta before she was called Bayonetta. You are taking control of her as she is wandering in the forest looking for... I think she's looking for a way to free her mother or something like that, and then she comes across Madame Butterfly, and they have the pact she makes with her to become Bayonetta, more or less. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Gameplay seems to be being played out in these sort of isometric maps. Cereza herself doesn't fight. It's Cheshire, this thing, transforms into a much larger plush thing that kicks the shit out of all these enemies. Whether or not you are actually controlling the cat or if you're giving it commands or stuff like that will be interesting. It will be interesting to see how gameplay works. Because I do think Platinum will probably take the opportunity to do something weird here. Just because it's not like their previous games. You know? I don't think... The closest thing they've done something like this is Wonderful 101, and I don't see it playing like Wonderful 101. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Oh, that's out in March at some point as well. Suicide Squad. I am never going to say the name of this game right, am I? Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And I honestly think they should get rid of the colon for that game. I think it works better. It's just that's the full title. Anyway, Batman's in it. I do feel like I think they were trying to get out ahead of any criticism, because as you may or may not know, Kevin Conroy, who voiced Batman in all the Arkham games, in the animated series, in a lot of the animated films and stuff like that, in a lot of non-film Batman appearances, it was Kevin Conroy's voice. He unfortunately passed away earlier this year, and I feel like Rocksteady may have wanted to get out ahead of criticism or stuff like that, or maybe they wanted to like show that he was working with them in the end, or something like that. There was a nice, I was going to say a nice tribute piece, which is really more of a throwaway now that I think about it more. After this trailer, also Captain Boomerang cuts off Flash's finger. I don't... Okay, so I have some problems with this game, and mostly it's that I'm kind of sick of the cynical representation of heroic characters. I'm just sick of it. You know, we've done it. It's done. Move on. Can we go back to them being heroic, please? Anyway, so I had always kind of assumed, and I had said anytime Suicide Squad came up, and why Batman wasn't in Gotham Knights was because they were saving him for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And I think it was going to be a surprise in-game. That was what Rocksteady were going for, and now they've decided to say, you know, as a tribute to Kevin Conroy, we'll release this trailer for it instead. So Batman is in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. What I don't like is that he's also a bad guy. You know, I don't like that he's also under Brainiac's control. I was kind of hoping that he'd be the only hero that wasn't, and that, you know, he'd team up with the Suicide Squad, kind of, as a sort of in-universe mentor for them. Maybe help them get out of under the control of Amanda Waller and something like that. Maybe, and that could still happen, sure, but I'm thinking maybe it probably won't, which I don't like. I don't like it. Anyway, I don't like that Kevin Conroy's last appearance as Batman is evil Batman, I guess. It's probably what's really eating away at me. Anyway, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, it had been rumored for a long time. It was leaked ahead of time, the Game Awards, that it was going to probably be shown off because we were seeing listings for pre-orders for it being popped up all over the place. So it does seem like it's more of the same. There's some questions around the story as for why some characters are still alive, because they absolutely should not be, but okay. I guess we'll figure out what's happening there. It is allegedly 4 years after the last game. Cal Kestis is still a shit Jedi by the looks of things, because he's getting his ass kicked by regular stormtroopers, but sure, that's fine. Some bounty hunter fighting here. He has 2 lightsabers now, although if you played the full game, full original game, you do get 2 lightsabers at the end of that. But anyway, Wampa's not in the snow. I'm not sure what's happening there. And then you've got Grievous's droids, although General Grievous would be dead at this point. Anyway, there's some questions for the story here that need to be answered. Some team-up attacks. There's some other things that have been pointed out from Cal Kestis' character models, that he's also carrying a blaster. It's in the main key art of the game. This is kind of weird, is that he has that kind of power, which is extreme, like in universe, that's very powerful for a Jedi to be able to stop blaster fire and stuff like that. But he's shit. Is my point. He's like, he struggles to beat a single stormtrooper and stuff like that. Which is right. I don't know. It really annoys me. Anyway, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, March of next year. Earthblade. Earthblade is a 2D side-scrolling combat platform exploration type thing. It is from the people who made Celeste. It feels very much like Celeste. It's the same kind of art style. It's the same almost avatar and dialogue layout and everything like that. Big 2D sprawling world. How you actually get about, we're not entirely sure. That you do have like a short range dash, and you do have the Earthblade, I imagine is what you're carrying around. It seems to have its own exploration ability, in that you can see that when she throws it away, she seems to lose some kind of aura, and when she picks it back up, she gains an aura. I'm saying she, I don't actually know, assuming their gender. We'll see how it plays when it actually comes out. Celeste is very, very good. I don't imagine this won't also be very good, you know? So, we'll see. Forspoken got another trailer, and it was mostly to announce, hey, there's a demo now, so everyone who's like, this game looks really sluggish, can tell for themselves if it really is sluggish. I have the demo downloaded, but I have not played it yet, so I can't tell you if it does look as sluggish as it appears to. We will play it on the channel at some point. I may, however, wait for the full game. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of time left in 2022, is my point, and I don't really want to start more games if I don't have to. Anyway, there's a demo out on the PlayStation Store if you want to check it out for yourselves. Death Stranding 2 was the next big surprise for the Game Awards. Again, this had largely been rumored that if it wasn't going to be Death Stranding 2, it was going to be something else with Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus, because we had seen and we had heard, and he had let it slip himself, that he was still working with Kojima on something. It was assumed Death Stranding 2, and it seems now, yeah, it is Death Stranding 2. More kind of crazy architecture, art style, art direction, whatever's happening in this game. Again, some questions about why characters are still here and in... I don't want to spoil Death Stranding. Like, some characters are appearing in positions that they shouldn't be in states that they shouldn't be in. Stuff like that. What actual state is the world left in after the end of Death Stranding? And that kind of thing. It was pretty funny. Hideo Kojima did make a joke that he changed the story of Death Stranding 2 because he didn't want to do another COVID. He didn't want to accidentally start another COVID. You may remember there was a kind of meme going around that Death Stranding released shortly after COVID started, and it was, or shortly before COVID started rather, and it was seen as sort of prophetic. that like the whole game story almost mirrored everyone being in lockdown and not talking to each other and scared to go out and stuff like that. You know, it's pretty funny. I'm gonna skip ahead to the next trailer, but Norman Reedus is in this, as well as Troy Baker's voice, and I assume he's the villain at the end. You know what, I'll skip ahead to the villain reveal at least. There's Norman. Sam Porter Bridges. We've got a Metal Gear, like, that looks like the head of Metal Gear Rex, and Norman Reedus is Solid Snake at the beginning of Metal Gear Solid. You know, he's the long hair and he has to have it shaved off, and then they dye his hair as well and stuff like that. Anyway, so it's Troy Baker singing, at least. This may not be Troy Baker. I assume it is, though. And fucking, who's this? GameSpot are ruining this kind of reveal. So keep an eye on the soldiers in the background, I guess. They had this kind of warning yellow light, but they look like very quickly when it changes to red, because there's a nice Easter egg from Metal Gear Solid in it. Here, I'll try to stop it on time. Damn it, too fast. You get it? Okay, so they have like a little exclamation mark kind of thing, which is nice, before it pops out into whatever their actual official thing will be. Anyway, Immortals of Avum, we don't know a whole lot about it, and I'm mostly putting it on this list because there were a lot of other games shown off that I didn't particularly care about. Destiny had a trailer, Street Fighter 6 looked really impressive, but I'm not going to play it. Tekken 8 had a really impressive trailer, but I'm also not going to play that, so and so on. Returnal and Last of Us are coming to PC, etc., etc. Immortals of Avum I've put on just because I'm curious how it plays. This is entirely a CG trailer. It's being done in Unreal Engine 5. It's funded by EA, so it'll be pretty decent budget. It's coming under the EA Originals bracket. It looks like it's a first-person magic shooter type thing. What I'm interested to see here is what's happening, or how this particular thing translates in-game. You know, what is happening here? Because it does seem like they're controlling something way out into the battlefield. So I'm curious, more than anything. It is from EA, so I don't imagine it's going to be amazing or anything, but what have you. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out of early access in August of next year. That's kind of all this trailer does. It sort of reminds people who may have been avoiding it, like myself, while it was in early access. Like, I don't want to play it, don't want to touch it, I'll play it when it comes out. That's me. I don't really play things when they're in early access. Because I have too many other games to play. I can't be going back to the same game over and over and over again. That's me. Fine. I get that I'm probably a bit weird, but whatever, what have you. Baldur's Gate 3 showing off some of the environments, some of the characters and stuff like that, and then finally the release window, if you like, August 2023, and then a nice Easter egg here for people who have played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. This character will be familiar to you. If you have not played those games, you will probably have no idea why this was, you know, a nice reveal, as he manages to crawl his way out of the Mimic. You may know Minsk from Baldur's Gate 2. Was he in 1? Maybe it's 1? Oh, it's been a long time since I played those games, so I'm not sure now. Anyway, he's a fan favorite character from the Baldur's Gate series. Alright. Wayfinder is the latest game from Airship Syndicate, which is Joe Madeira's game development studio. So he's the people who made Battle Chasers Night War, the people who made the League of Legends The Ruined King game. He also did the art for Darksiders, the series. So he has like heavy metal fantasy kind of stuff is what he goes for. This game looks like it's going to be some kind of co-op Diablo clone thing, is what it feels like. They're partnering with some pretty big names. It looks like it's going to be a kind of live service thing, so they're partnering with Sony. So this, I guess, is one of those live service games they have. And they're partnering with Amazon for the web services and stuff like that, so it should be pretty stable, a game. I just hope it's fun. Battle Chasers Night War was fun, but that was a turn-based RPG. Ruined King, I think, was just piggybacking on the Battle Chasers engine, so I think it was also a turn-based thing, whereas this looks like it's an action RPG. Or an action brawler type thing, so more like Diablo. I'm only saying it looked like Diablo just because loot, isometric camera angles and stuff like that. Although the camera is swinging past here, this may just be in service to the trailer. It's debatable if the game will actually be this close to the character models. I have a feeling it won't be, personally. I'm pretty sure they're going to go with the Diablo isometric. As you can see, PlayStation Digital Extremes was the other company, the people who make Warframe, so they definitely know how to make a live service. Interesting. We'll see how it turns out. And then, speaking of Diablo 4. Diablo 4 official trailer. This is an entirely CG trailer, so no gameplay. There were a lot of previews this week of Diablo. Talking about gameplay progression and stuff like that. I'm hearing a lot of things I like. I'm hearing a lot more things I don't like. It's always online. It's more like a lobby now. The overworld is more like a lobby in that you're going to see other players just running around in it with you. You can team up with them if you want. You can ignore them if you want. I don't like that. I want it to be completely segregated. Get me away from the unwashed masses. I don't want that. I want to play by myself or with specific friends who I have invited into the game. You know, I don't want just randos. I don't want that. But no, it's happening. Tough. There's a battle pass, season pass bullshit. Thing is, Diablo 3 launched with something disgusting, which was the auction house, the real money auction house, and that was taken out. That was patched out. It received a lot of apology patches, Diablo 3. I'm hoping Diablo 4 gets much the same, and I don't know. It's unlikely they're going to patch out the Season Pass, Battle Pass stuff, because it makes too much money for Activision. On the other hand, Microsoft might be like, it's fine, we don't need that. Anyway, we're going to talk a bit more about Diablo later in the industry bullshit section, because you've got some shit to talk about there too. Blue Protocol looks like Genshin Impact, but without the gacha stuff. So this is from a Korean developer, I think. It's going to be another PlayStation Live Service-y type thing. Bandai Namco and Amazon Games. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of something else now. Anyway, it does strike me as a kind of Genshin Impact thing, but that's only because we're not really seeing much of the gameplay. But it does have the kind of colorful overworld anime aesthetic, like it screams Genshin Impact. But it seems like it'll be a little... I was going to say it's a little further in the future, but I'm not sure it is exactly. It just seems like some parts of it are. But we're not seeing how gameplay works, you know, how combat works, how any of that works, you know. So we don't know. Don't know how the game plays. I'm curious to find out, though. Transformers Reactivate. So this was a fun trailer. Nothing about it says Transformers. And obviously, as you know, when they play a trailer in the Game Awards, they don't tell you what the game's going to be beforehand. Usually, they don't tell you. Not on purpose, as like they're trying to hide it or anything, but it's just like, hey, here's another trailer kind of thing. And nothing here suggests to transform, at least not to me. It's possible other people could read the script on the screen and stuff like that and be like, that's Transformers script. Or, you know, like maybe zoom in on those guys and say those are Transformers or something like that. I don't know the IP well enough to be able to point out stuff like that. So to me, I was like, this looks cool. I wonder what it is, etc. And I only thought it's Transformers like right at the end. To be honest, I was like, hang on, is this a Transformers game? I'm not even sure what made me think about it exactly. I think it's when he looks at his hands, and I was like, hang on, is that Bumblebee from Transformers or something like that? He kind of looks like it, and then it's smashed to Transformers Reactivate. Oh, it is Transformers. Anyway, we don't know how the game's going to play. Is it going to be a 4-player co-op thing and one of you plays the Transformer? I don't know. Okay, Banishers Ghost of New Eden is the next game from Don't Nod. Don't Nod are the people behind Life is Strange. And this might seem like a bit of a departure for them if you aren't aware of their other games, but they have also made Vampire, which we played on the channel, and a game called Remember Me that nobody ironically remembers. There's not a whole lot of gameplay in this trailer. It's another CG type thing, but the idea is you are a banisher and you banish ghosts, and the way you banish ghosts apparently is by beating the shit out of them. Is what I'm getting from this trailer. I'm gonna kind of skip ahead because you won't really get much without the audio. But yeah, they're having a conversation, yada yada yada, and it turns out she's a ghost. And then there's a little bit of gameplay like right at the end. So that's what I'm gonna kind of skip to. So this is your partner, wife, lover, person who deceased, and then she's like, "Hey, it's this ghost, and now you gotta fight them." And yeah, that's it. End of next year. We'll see. Remember Me played okay. It wasn't amazing, but it played alright. And Vampire, similarly, played okay. I imagine Vanishes will be much the same. Space Marine 2, the last trailer we got for this was entirely CG, so not entirely sure how the game would play. It was presumed it would play much like Space Marine 1, which was almost Dynasty Warriors. Almost. It's an over-the-shoulder... a little bit further back from over the shoulder, I suppose, shooter melee type game, where you're fighting. It depends, I suppose, on the enemies you're fighting. If you're fighting these alien guys, I'm sorry, Warhammer 40k people, I don't know their name. Zergs? Are they Zergs? I thought that was StarCraft. I don't know. And I think most of this game, you're going to be fighting those guys. So imagine you fight a lot of them. I do know their armies are like, we don't have very many specialists, but we do have a lot of these guys. And that's kind of their deal. the original Space Marine game, fine, dumb fun. You know, it's not going to make anyone's game of the year or anything like that. Space Marine 2, I imagine, much the same, but it'll look nicer. The Lords of the Fallen, not to be confused with Lords of the Fallen. This was meant to be, or at least it was believed it was a sequel to Lords of the Fallen. It was believed it was going to be Lords of the Fallen 2, but they've instead said, you know what? Nobody really liked Lords of the Fallen, so let's just try this again. let's just start over. This is completely rebooted. Just, you know, ignore the last game. It doesn't exist. It's just, you're better off never playing it also, and so on. The art direction here, some of the design, the creature designs, the armor designs and stuff, environment, wow. You know, it looks really good. Will it play well? If it plays anything like Lords of the Fallen, no. If you're not familiar, Lords of the Fallen is a Souls-like kind of game, but was very clunky. And with those kind of games, clunk means incredible levels of frustration playing it. So you're playing, it seems, a Nazgul in this world, taking on the Lords of the Fallen, who I imagine are the big bosses of the game. You make your way through their environments and eventually fight them at the end of it, kind of thing, much like Souls. But yeah, some of the enemy designs here, designs in general, it looks really good. The question is, does it play really good? And I guess we'll find out eventually. Did this get a release date? No, just wishlist. Also, PlayStation. Sorry. I think this trailer is from PlayStation, so maybe it could be something else. Anyway. Armored Core 6 was the last big reveal. This was being shown off in between both of Elden Ring's awards. They won for Best Art Direction, and then they won for Game of the Year. Who cares about the Game Awards actual awards? They're garbage anyway. But Armored Core 6, so yeah, I didn't twig this at all. It popped up Bandai Namco, people went nuts thinking it was more Elden Ring stuff, until you look at it and you go, this is a little too advanced for Elden Ring, so what the hell is this? Only for the Armored Core fans to be like, Armored Core? Armored Core? Is it Armored? Show me more? Armored Core, show me more. Somebody should use that in their marketing. Alright, anyway. Starts off, it's a very moody CG trailer, whole thing CG, there's no gameplay. I know nothing about Armored Core other than it's big mechs. That's it. I don't know anything else about the series. I knew it was made by FromSoft before they started down the Dark Souls path. FromSoft have made a lot of things. They've been around a really long time. Dark Souls, Demon Souls was not their first game. Not even their 5th game, 10th game. They've been around a very long time. Armored Core, Metal Wolf Chaos, Tenchu series and stuff like that. They've made a lot of things. Obviously, this was these kind of call-outs. Sorry, I skipped back there, and I just wanted to point these out. This kind of thing. There was also something about The Last Flame or something like that, were obviously callbacks to Dark Souls. I don't think they were faking anybody out, though, thinking that, hang on, is this a futuristic Dark Souls? It's like, nah, it's Armored Core. It was a really good trailer, though. Like, if the game plays anything like this, which I find unlikely, but it looks really fucking good. The trailer itself is quite long, so I am going to skip past it, but yeah, you should do yourself a favor and watch it. But I was thinking, like, okay, this looks really good. Maybe I should play Armored Core? I was like, no, there's just 22 other games before this one. I was like, okay, that's not happening. I'm just gonna have to watch a long play or something like that. Anyway, we're gonna move on. The last, I think this is the last trailer. It might have been one after it. Was Final Fantasy 16. This was announced that they were going to be showing stuff about it, so this wasn't a surprise exactly. And it hasn't really shown anything new. Like, I feel like we've seen all of these scenes before. Kills the kid, potentially, although I think the kid harbors Phoenix inside them, so potentially they can't be killed. Yeah, there's more gameplay. It looks really, really good, but the last trailer showed us much the same. So, what is interesting, and when I say interesting, I mean bad, potentially this time as well. There's no party. You know, a lot of the Final Fantasy games, almost all of the Final Fantasy games, in fact, were party-based JRPGs. You know, you went about collecting your team, you know, helping out in their struggles and recruiting them and what have you. Like almost every Final Fantasy was built up around a party, and it looks like Final Fantasy 16 isn't. It looks like you're by yourself. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because it just doesn't feel like Final Fantasy, I guess. Although having said that, I just realized there is some party-based stuff at the end of this trailer. There's the dog and the woman companion. We don't have their names, so I'm just calling them that, but yes. It does also seem that your main character... I think they're mostly based on Ifrit, but they do have other Eidolons, icons, whatever you want to call them. Because there's stuff like he had some Bahamut stuff going on, he had some Shiva stuff going on. Anyway, so there is potentially some party stuff going on there as well. And there's the kid, and they're potentially Phoenix. Which means they can't be killed. I think that's it. I think that was the last trailer. Yes, it is, because that's going into something else. Right. I'm going to move ahead. So, that was the Game Awards stuff. As I said, that wasn't everything that was revealed. Like I said, Returnal, Last of Us are getting PC ports some stage next year. Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 both had really impressive trailers. There was some stuff at Destiny 2 shown off. There's stuff from Call of Duty and so on. What I've shown you are the things that I was interested in. You know, your experience may vary, kind of thing. Outside of the Game Awards, there were some other trailers released, so this is Lost Soul aside. About 5-6 years ago now, I think, there was a fan video game snippet, like a little bit of gameplay shown off, and it was allegedly done by a single developer that was kind of attempting to copy Final Fantasy XIV, Noctis, moving around with his teleport dashing and stuff like that. And people were looking at it going, holy shit, this looks incredible. Like, even if you exempt it being a solo dev, it looked great all by itself. And then you're like, one guy did this? What the fuck? Then he got picked up by Sony. And they said, hey, you want to make this game? So that's this game. We haven't heard anything from it for a very long time, and YouTube is destroying the bitrate on this video, so I can't imagine you guys are seeing anything much better. Did I swap to the big screen? I did. Okay, good. I was wondering now for a second, had I actually swapped to the big screen, because I haven't checked back to OBS in a while. Looks really impressive, and it is actually starting to look a bit like Final Fantasy 16 now, which is interesting. He's gone from Final Fantasy 15 to into Final Fantasy 16 in the same intervening amount of time. Which is pretty funny. I don't know. That seems kind of funny to me. Anyway, Lost Soul aside, we still don't know when it's coming out. But hey, it's still alive. We're still working on it. It still looks really impressive. IGN then had a... Why are you doing this to me? Why you're insisting that I watch this video and I don't want to? Anyway. Well, I mean, I do want to. I just don't want to watch it right now. I'm doing my show. IGN, as part of their IGN First series, are showing off the first 20-ish minutes of the Dead Space remake. I kind of don't want to watch too much of this, but I have skimmed through it, and it is like shot for shot, one for one, almost remake of just the opening of the original Dead Space. There are some dialogue changes. Isaac speaks now. And the two other characters whose names I forget are a little bit nicer. You know, they're not quite as abrasive as they were in the original game, which will make their eventual betrayal pretty funny, but spoilers, I guess. It's a remake of a very old game, guys. Anyway, but yeah, it looks very impressive. I'm going to very quickly skip to a couple of different sections so you can get a gist of it. The link to this will be in the description of the video. If you're watching this live on Twitch, just go to IGN. It's there. It's one of the early IGN First. Type in Dead Space. I'm sure it'll come up. Anyway, yeah, it's almost identical to the original game. Epic Games game, 3 games for this week up until the 12th. That's tomorrow. Okay, I should probably change how I do these, and I should probably look at the next game instead of the ones for this week. These are gone by the time you guys see them. Anyway, Saints Row 4 re-elected. I think it includes the Johnny Gat DLC as well. This was the Saints Row where you became president, and then there was an alien invasion, and you were put in a simulation like the Matrix kind of thing, and you had like crazy superpowers and shit. It was a lot of fun. And then they rebooted Saints Row and made it boring. Anyway, and now that studio's getting shut down probably. Wildcat Gun Machine. Don't know. Wildcat Gun Machine is a bullet hell dungeon crawler where you take on hordes of disgusting flesh beasts with a wide variety of guns, giant mech robots, and cute kittens. Well, not a bad call out there. Sounds like Enter the Gungeon. Yeah, I think it's Enter the Gungeon. Anyway, new releases. So lots of games that we were showing there that are out soon. Or not soon, as the case may be in a lot of them. But what if you wanted to play something right now? You can play, if you want, Dragon Quest Treasures, releasing exclusively on Nintendo Switch. Dragon Quest Treasures? Dragon Quest Treasures is a looting game, essentially. You take your monsters out into the world. They have an affinity for particular treasures. You kind of move around with them as a sort of treasure compass kind of thing. They're like, hey, there's a treasure chest over there, and you pick it up, and then that's it. I mean, you take it back to base, and then it's appraised, and you figure out if you actually picked up something good or if you picked up junk. You can only pick up so much stuff before you have to return to base and stuff like that. And there's combat. If it's anything like the Dragon Quest Builders combat, it's gonna be boring as fuck. I don't know. I was really kind of interested in this game until I read a couple of previews and saw some gameplay of it, and I'm like, no. It looks like busy work, and not fun busy work, so I don't know. A little disappointed, to be honest. I keep pressing the wrong button is what's happening. I keep thinking I'm in playlist mode, and I'm not. Anyway, Dwarf Fortress Steam Edition. So Dwarf Fortress has been around for... It seems like it's been around for a very, very long time. If we go back earlier in the trailer, like, this was the graphics mode for Dwarf Fortress for a very long time. Even before that, it didn't have color. It was just ASCII, and you had to like look up what the fuck all these things mean, especially if you were new to the game and things like that. But it was free, so it did have that going for it. Dwarf Fortress is an incredible sim, where you have your dwarves in your fortress, trying to keep them alive, keep them mining, keep the whole place from, falling apart and stuff like that. The Steam edition has finally added like actual art assets to the game, which is nuts, because this the game is heavily crazy in depth. The stuff that can happen in Dwarf Fortress, it's nuts, and the idea that they have art for all of that is equally as crazy, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't look like it's animated. They are like swapping out the ASCII glyphs for pixel art. Fine, that's more than adequate for something as nuts as Dwarf Fortress. And Dwarf Fortress moves at such an incredible pace that any animation you would, you would miss it in all of the speed at which the game plays at. Anyway, unlike original Dwarf Fortress, which was free on itch and Steam and anywhere really, Dwarf Fortress Steam Edition is money. But if you're really into Dwarf Fortress, I can't imagine you'd be like, oh no, I have to pay money for this game I've spent my whole life playing. Anyway, that's the new releases for this week. However, it is now time to talk about the worst part of video games, the Game Awards. No, the video game industry. The second worst part is the Game Awards. Anyway, Diablo 4 devs say June release date will lead to more crunch. I'm big shock on that one. Super shocked, everybody. Anyway, so developers who the Washington Post contacted, so these are both current and former devs, said that production will not wrap in time for the planned June 6th, 2023 release date unless they crunch in the months to come. So months of crunch. The report from the Washington Post, which is paywalled, which is why we're not reading that one, interviews with 15 current and former developers at Blizzard, stating that development has been rocky, includes plenty of scrapped work, controversial decisions, and extended overtime, which are all hallmarks of poor management. But it won't be management who gets fucked over. Amid company promises to become a model workplace in the games industry. So, yeah, big shock. Activision Blizzard aren't measuring up to their commitment to be a model workplace. The union busting, holiday firing company isn't living up to being a model workplace. I'm shocked, you guys. We're at the point where they're not willing to delay the game anymore, so we'll just have to go along and figure out how much we're willing to hurt ourselves to make sure the game gets released in a good enough state. You are not hurting yourselves. Management is hurting you. Upper management who aren't going to be crunching. Bobby's not going to be crunching. Bobby doesn't give a shit. He's getting a payout from Microsoft in a few months. More on that in a second. He doesn't care. Crunch your holes off. He doesn't give a shit. Anyway, overtime is voluntary and limited to specific teams. We regularly survey the team on their professional well-being, and the latest results are the most positive they've been in years. This is from Activision Blizzard spokesperson. Are you willing to show these surveys to the public? Can we read them? No, of course not. Blizzard is using company stock bonuses and DoorDash gift cards to encourage staff to work longer to get the game done. So yeah, it's voluntary, but money. And it's not cash, you know, it's stock options. Which you can't really do anything, like they have to be vested. It's not something you could just liquidate immediately after the Microsoft merger. You know, because they'd be at like a pretty decent premium at that point. No, they got to be vested for 5 years, and by then, will the company even exist anymore? So this is like basically the issue here is Activision claimed that they were going to clean house after the whole Blizzard Cosby Suite shit. You know, the sexual harassment stuff, the person killing themselves because of how badly bullied they were at the company and stuff like that. And yeah, it turns out, no, we're just going to keep crunching. We're just going to be very bad managers and keep making you crunch. Diablo 4 was officially delayed in 2021, and Bobby said that the reason the stock price dropped was because we announced the delay of Diablo 4, not because of the whole Wall Street Journal sexual harassment thing that came out. No, definitely wasn't that reason. And then Microsoft swooped in to buy them at a big discount. And why is that important? Well, the reason that's important is because Diablo 4 is likely to be the last release before Microsoft acquires the company. And it will be a big kind of... what's the way to put it? It will be a big indicator going forward for whether or not Microsoft made a good decision to buy the company, right? So there's a lot of company worth tied up in the release of Diablo 4, which is probably why they're not willing to delay it any further. It's also potentially they will no longer have control of the game after that as well, because Microsoft will own the company then and they will decide what happens with it. Dunno. Some developers the Washington Post spoke with were skeptical as to whether the developer could make its latest planned release date, but were equally skeptical that management would be willing to delay it yet again. Activision Blizzard sales and Microsoft is expected to close the same month, so yeah, it's gonna be like a big... potentially the first game under the deal as well. Depending on how the deal wraps up, it may be that it goes out before Diablo 4 is released. Probably not. It's June 6th, it's the start of the month. I don't think the deal is meant to finish until at the end of that month. But I guess we'll see. Speaking of Activision, FTC suing to block Microsoft's $69 billion Activision Blizzard acquisition. So this was news that Microsoft were making concessions, and they said, if we get ownership of Activision, we'll make sure Call of Duty is available to everybody, and we won't make our stuff exclusive to hurt our competitors and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. The FTC said, yeah, bullshit. Look what you did with ZeniMax, basically. The United States government, Federal Trade Commission, is suing to block the thing, claiming the deal would allow the company to suppress its game industry competition, which is Sony's standpoint. The FTC pointed to Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax in 2021 and the company's subsequent decision to make games from its subsidiaries exclusive to Microsoft devices. So that's Starfield, Redfall. They're exclusive to Xbox and PC now instead of what they would have come to, PlayStation, potentially Switch, and so on. Despite previously assuring EU regulators it had no incentive to withhold games from its rival consoles, it's doing it anyway. Can we trust Microsoft to do the same thing with Call of Duty, Diablo, what have you? Microsoft has already shown that it can and will withhold content from its gaming rivals. This is from the director of Bureau Competition at the FTC. So they are suing to prevent the merger. One of only a very small number of top video game developers in the world that create and publish high-quality video games for multiple devices. This is how they characterize Activision Blizzard, and if they came under one company, it would massively stifle competition. At least that is their... This is the FTC's standpoint, and it's also Sony's standpoint, but for slightly more self-serving reasons. Microsoft attempting to head off this injunction. They said, we agree to a 10-year deal to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo consoles if the buyout went through. Have you played Call of Duty on a Switch? It's bad. Not just because Call of Duty is bad, but it runs like shit. Anyway, it's such a weird thing for them to offer up as a concession. Anyway, Microsoft's response was, we continue to believe that this deal will expand competition somehow by reducing the number of game developers. That will expand competition, okay, and create more opportunities for gamers by making franchises exclusive, and game developers by making fewer companies for them to work for. Someone needs to look up the word expand in the dictionary. Now, there have been different opinions about this lawsuit, going around games industry pundits and stuff like that. Some people are taking it at face value in that the FTC are calling their bluff, in that Microsoft have prior behavior for saying that they'll keep things open and then making them exclusive. Starfield, for instance, was going to be on PlayStation. It's not anymore. Redfall, potentially, we don't actually know about that one, but if Microsoft weren't going to buy ZeniMax, it probably would have made it to PlayStation as well. Arcane's previous games were also on PlayStation. When they bought Ninja Theory, Hellblade sequel became an exclusive, and so on. Which one do you believe? Do you believe that, no, this time we'll keep things open, or no, we're going to do what we always did and make them exclusive because we own them now, lol? Which one do you believe? The other one is that this is the FTC setting up a position where they're being tough on a merger, when in the back room they've already agreed to some concessions, and this will basically be a easy win for the FTC. And Microsoft gets what it wants. You can either look at this on face value, and the FTC are legitimately concerned about the reduction in competition, or you can look at it as the FTC are playing 4D chess and, getting an easy win by making it look like they're making it hard on them, or something in between. Personally, I think it's the second one. I think they're going to rubber stamp it, but that's just me. Speaking of ZeniMax, 300 QA staff at Microsoft-owned ZeniMax Studios vote to unionize. Now, what's different here? So this is a company owned by Microsoft, because ZeniMax was bought earlier this year, maybe last year, by Microsoft. 300 quality assurance staff members at ZeniMax have unionized with the Communications Workers of America. These are the same people that Raven Software and Blizzard Albany QA also unionized with. And Microsoft says that they will voluntarily recognize the union, which is a very big difference to what Activision did, because they had to be pulled kicking and screaming to recognize the union, and debatable if they actually have done that, considering how poorly negotiations are going. The company instructed ZeniMax managers to remain neutral throughout the process. Again, a very big difference to how Activision handled the same thing. As is pointed out here, this contrasts starkly with Activision Blizzard's public attempts at suppressing unionization inside the company. Separately, it is for this very reason that the CWA has publicly announced its support for Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So it is, again, you could take the position that there's 4D chess here from Microsoft and that they want the deal to go through, so they can't be seen to being union busting, because obviously Activision are going through a union busting thing at the moment, so they can't be seen to be the same. You could look at it that way. You could also take like the generous viewpoint in that Microsoft are different and they're fine with the unionizing. I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm going on that line. They're like, yeah, this is how the industry is pivoting, and any position you take that is against that, well, you're just the bad guy at this point. Continuing with Activision, Activision sues. Think about this now. Activision sues the Civil Rights Department over handling of lawsuit. Wow. Are you a Saturday morning villain? We sue the Civil Rights Department. Activision Blizzard has filed a lawsuit against California's Civil Rights Department. These were previously the Fair Employment and something people handling of the publisher's misconduct suit. So this is the lawsuit that was taken out after the Wall Street Journal news story about the toxic workplace, sexual harassment, bullying, threats of bodily harm shit that was happening over there. Activision is claiming that the agency orchestrated a media war against Activision Blizzard and has failed to comply with a public records request to turn over communications between the CRD and reporters and the Communications Workers of America. Do they have right to those records? Plus, if they're public records, look it up. They're public, go look for it yourselves. Why would Activision Blizzard be interested in that kind of correspondence? Well, of course, Raven Software and Blizzard Albany's QA workers are unionized under the Communication Workers of America, so they want to know what they were saying to each other. They allege that the CRD's complaint and that alleged misconduct took place at the company was unlawfully filed. So they're not disputing the content of the report. They're disputing like a clerical thing, because the agency did not appropriately seek to mediate the dispute before filing suit, considering how Activision have been mediating things. Mediating in extreme quotes. I'm not exactly surprised they didn't bother. We'll see where this goes, but to be honest, this will probably get dismissed, as their last attempt to do much the same thing was also dismissed, so I don't see this really changing. Plus, Microsoft will probably own the company before this actually comes up in the first place, and I would see them just going, it's fine, drop it. Anyway, going back to some other news stories that we talked about the last few weeks, Yuji Naka is arrested again. The Sonic the Hedgehog guy has been re-arrested over more insider trading, this time from the Final Fantasy VII First Soldier mobile game. So he was arrested 2 weeks ago, I think? Maybe last week? No, it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago. Because of his insider trading knowledge on a Dragon Quest mobile game, and now this time he's being arrested for his insider trading knowledge of Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. That's kind of it. It's just, yeah, he got arrested again. Lol. So, what is going on with this guy? Anyway. And then Panda Global CEO removed, Cup final postponed after Smash Bros. Esports controversy. So this is a story we looked at last week, in that there was a big furor, I guess, over a fan-run Smash Bros. Tournament called the Smash World Tour. They alleged that Nintendo pressured them to close it because they didn't have a license, and then they also alleged that Panda Global were bad-mouthing them to Nintendo, and they were bad-mouthing other fan-run organizations and fan-run tournaments and stuff like that. Panda Global said they weren't bad-mouthing them to Nintendo, but they did say that their CEO acted inappropriately, and now, as it turns out, they have decided he shouldn't be CEO anymore. So Panda Global has replaced its CEO following the ongoing controversy around the shutdown of a rival tournament. Panda has heard the concerns of the Smash community and is taking immediate action. Alan Bunny is no longer CEO, effective immediately. However, Bunny still owns Panda Global, so he's not CEO anymore, but he is still the owner. I guess the board can't, do they even have a board if there's an owner? Presumably there's no owner if you have a board of directors, right? It's a publicly traded company at that point. So if you have an owner, it's not a publicly traded company? Wouldn't he have to voluntarily step down? There's some very interesting questions that need to be asked here, and what exactly is his role now at the company. Anyway, this news shall follow the shutdown of Smash World Tour. Smash World Tour accused Panda Global of attempted sabotage, claiming the organization and the CEO specifically had been telling potential partners earlier this year that Smash World Tour would be shut down. So this is like being shitheads, basically, to the fans. And Nintendo were like, stop doing that, please. It's our job to be shitheads. Did I miss the Dwarf Fortress update? I'm afraid you did, Doom Training. But it's out there, it's on Steam. It looks really impressive, considering how old that game is, and it's just two guys working on it for like their whole lives now at this point. But it looks really good. Panda Didding Hall is whatever. This seems like it's more of a saving face, so we'll wait for this to blow over and we'll probably slot him back in as CEO next year when everyone's forgotten. That's what it feels like to me. Anyway, I think that's it for news, because there is no dumb stuff this week. Anyway, news outro. What will we leave to... You know what? Since you brought it up, Doom Training, we'll leave Dwarf Fortress to run in the background. Been good, man. Yeah, I'm doing all right. More of that in the channel update, I think. So, Game Awards stuff, a lot of trailers came out, a lot of announcements, a lot of reminders that game exists and is coming out soon, and so on. I don't know, there's a lot of things for me to go back over there, so I'm not going to, basically, because it's just going to take forever. There's some interesting things there. I'm kind of curious what's happening with Death Stranding 2. Hades 2 is obviously very impressive as well. I'm kind of shocked they decided to do a sequel, because they're a developer that typically don't do sequels. Final Fantasy XVI's trailer just was the last trailer again, it feels like. I don't think we learned anything new other than there's a dog and you can pet it, which, sure, good. Appreciated, but still, kind of weird. Was anything else? Armored Core 6. I never played any of the other Armored Core games. Like, I know very little about it other than it's a mech game. I'm not sure if it's a fast mech game or if it's a walk slow, clunky clunk mech game. The trailer would suggest it's a fast-paced mech game, but I don't know. Trailers can be deceiving, and so on. There's a lot to go back over in the Game Awards. Lost Soul aside, kind of coming back out of the shadows, and again reminding you, hey, we exist, and we're still working on the game. Cool. Like, it looks fun. I would want to play it whenever it comes out, in 12 years from now or whatever. The Dead Space remake video, I'm avoiding watching too much of it, because I kind of just want to see more of it. Play Armored Core 1 still holds up. It's definitely a fast-paced game. Okay. Isn't that PlayStation 1 or something? I might be able to find it emulated somewhere. Anyway, yeah, I've been trying to avoid looking at anything of the Dead Space remake, because I just want to have the wow factor of being like, wow, I remember this game looking good, and now it looks incredible, you know, that kind of thing. I think I will try to play the original game before the game releases, or at least before I play it on the channel. You know, I think I'll try and play. I think I have it on PC or Steam Deck or whatever. Let's see if I can get that running. Activision being shitheads, you know, what else is new? The sky is blue, and so on. Having to crunch for Diablo 4, we're not surprised, but again, it's more hypocrisy from Blizzard management, you know? We're definitely better, you guys. We got rid of all the bad apples. Turns out they poisoned the barrel, because that's what happens. Because that's the rest of the phrase. Say the rest of the phrase when you say that. A few bad apples spoils the bunch. It's not you take out the few bad apples and everything's fine. That's not how it works. It's if you don't get rid of them quickly, you're going to lose the whole barrel, basically, is it. Fun scientific fact. Rotting apples give off a pheromone that causes nearby apples to rot as well. That's where the whole phrase comes from. Anyway, what else was I talking about? That's all there was in industry bullshit, wasn't it? Activision being shitheads, Microsoft contesting the FTC lawsuit, which I think is still just going to be mind games. It's still just going to get rubber stamped, as far as I'm aware. Or as far as I care. I don't know. My brain isn't working today. Yuji Naka getting arrested again is like, what is this year? What is going on with that guy? Anyway, we're going to go into our channel update. So, on the channel this week, I missed a few streams. So this is our shortlist for the end of the year, or the second half of 2022. Again, reminders on the icons and stuff like that. The green ticks are games that have been played. There are videos for them. Some of them are full Let's Plays, some of them are one-shots. If you're interested in any of them, you can find them all over on the YouTube archive channel, youtube.com/DoomFrame5. The yellow dots are games that are currently in progress, to some extent. Some of them are a bit more dormant than others, but they are in progress. Grey clocks, if you can see any, are games that are coming up on the channel, maybe. I think this needs to be updated. And if there is no symbol whatsoever, I am planning to play the game, I'm just not sure when exactly. So this week and next week, or Monday rather, we are going to be playing and have been playing The Devil in Me, which is the latest game from the Dark Pictures anthology. I've been enjoying it. It's certainly a lot longer than the previous Dark Pictures games, which is why it wasn't finished in a part 2. We're moving on to a part 3. It's been getting stabby and poisony and acidy lately. Definitely characters could have been killed at this point. I will not say how many are still alive, because you need to tune in to find out. But we're definitely hitting the points where, yeah, your character can die at any moment, kind of thing. So more of that tomorrow, if you're watching live, or chances are it's already happened if you're watching this on the VOD. On Wednesday, we continued more Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song. We are now have completed the first solo chapters of each character. We are now past the point where we had to replay the game, and we're moving into more story stuff. So we're kind of getting... We've had one shoe drop on the main villain, and I think we're getting now the second shoe will be dropping on Wednesday's playthrough. We'll figure out what's going on, who's trying to kill everybody, and so on and so forth. Plague Tale Requiem we will be playing more of on Thursday. I had planned to play it this week, and it would have been probably the last stream, because we're pretty close to the end, at least counting just by chapter numbers. We're pretty close to the end, so we'll probably finish it this week. I've been really enjoying Plague Tale Requiem. It's really good. Huge improvement over Plague Tale Innocence, and I really liked Plague Tale Innocence. So it's been fun. Friday, we're going to take a look, hopefully, at Blacktail. If it doesn't get delayed. Doesn't look like it will, so hopefully we'll get a chance to look at it. This is a first-person exploratory archery type game. You play Baba Yaga before she became Baba Yaga. So this is a kind of Slavic tale of the witch in the woods, the Baba Yaga. If you've watched any of the John Wick films, you might have some idea of the folklore around it. So this has a kind of a morality system. You can be a good witch or a bad witch, and I guess the more of a bad witch you are, the more you become Baba Yaga, kind of thing. We'll see. First-person archery can be done well in some games. Most of the time it isn't, so we'll see how it plays. If it turns out that it doesn't come out on time or is way too expensive, which has happened in the past, I'm like, I want to play this game. That's a lot more money than I was willing to pay for it. I don't know. We'll look at something else. Maybe one of those demos I mentioned. Anyway, Blacktail is the one. You can assume it's Blacktail unless I say otherwise. And then Resident Evil 2, again, I did miss the Steam? I did miss the stream this week. I am doing a lot of work in the background for some end-of-year video streams, and that is a lot more work than I was... It's not a lot more work than I was expecting. I'm putting in more work than I was thinking I would have, I guess. I want to make them interesting and fun, but we will get back to Resi 2 on Saturday. So the schedule going forward for this week, we're going to have The Devil in Me on Monday, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song on Wednesday, A Plague Tale Requiem on Thursday, Blacktail on Friday, Resident Evil 2 on Saturday, and then we'll be right back around to the weekly news recap on Sunday. I am also planning to do an end-of-year tier list thing. So this is like a template I'm going to be working off of. So the idea is we're going to go through the games that appeared on the channel this year and, rank them and see how it goes. You can hang out and chat, and, you can give me your opinion on what you thought of those games and so on, and we'll figure out what was the best game that appeared on the channel this year. Spoilers. It's probably going to be Elden Ring. I think more of the question is what's the worst game that appeared on the channel. Although spoilers on that one, I think I know who that is too. Anyway, we're going to take a look at that. And last year I did games coming up in 2022 video. I'm going to do something similar for 2023. So we'll also have a look at, probably before the year is out, we'll have a live stream of here's all the games coming out in 2023. Or here's all the games I like, we'll say, that are coming out in 2023. If we did all of the games, the stream wouldn't end. There's just so much shit that gets dumped on PC every year. Anyway, that is the plan. At some stage, probably before Christmas, we'll do the tier list one. And then after Christmas, but before the new year, we will do the 2023 live stream. Anyway, that is the plan going forward on the channel. So that was the weekly news for the 5th to the 11th, 2023, as well as the channel update for the 5th to the 11th, 2023. Let me know what you guys thought about the Game Awards stuff. I know Doom Training is excited about the Dwarf Fortress graphical update. Dwarf Fortress is something I've been terrified of getting into, because I will get sucked in. And I'm not sure I have the time for that to happen to me, but I guess we'll see. Also, thank you for dropping by, Doom Training. It's good to see you again, man. Or read you in the chat, I guess. And anyone in the Silent Council who obviously agree that something, I don't know. Did I say something questionable in this stream that you guys can agree with? Probably. I probably did. Anyway. Yeah, tomorrow, Devil in Me, more of that game. Chances are we'll finish it. Feels like we're near the end of it. There's too much more left in Swan Song. That won't be the end of that game. Plague Tale Requiem will probably finish. Blacktail will be a one-shot. And Resident Evil 2 will probably finish Claire's Scenario A. Potentially we'll finish Leon's Scenario A. I don't know. Anyway, I also have jury duty next week. So these streams may or may not happen, depending on whether I get picked or not. And depending on how long they keep you there. I was picked last time. Chances are I'll get picked again. I'm so nondescript. They're like, yeah, sure, he can be on the jury. I don't care. Right, anyway. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow for The Devil in Me. Right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.